Pope Leo's Apostolic exhortation, delixi offers a profound reflection on the centrality of love for the poor within Christian life, and it presents direct challenges to aspects of modern society, economics and spirituality. In particular, it will change those who claim a Christian justification for free market and nationalist political policies. In this video, we look into the themes and history of the social thinking that produced this joint work between Popes Francis and Leo. Delixi builds on the legacy of Pope Francis, highlighting a continuity that ties modern Catholic social teaching to the Second Vatican Council and the Latin American theological tradition. This lineage frames loving the poor not as an optional act of charity, but as the fundamental way Christians encounter Christ. Love of the poor equals love of God. There is no dichotomy. This is rooted both in Scripture and the lived experience of two popes deeply influenced by the poverty of Latin America. The document surveys Scripture and the Church Fathers, emphasizing that Christ chose poverty, lived among the poor, and associated poverty with the deepest human needs, even death. This challenges Christians to see in the poor the face of Christ and dismisses attempts to relativize or spiritualize away the biblical mandate for solidarity with the needy. The document surveys Scripture and the Church Fathers, emphasizing that Christ chose poverty, lived among the poor, and associated poverty with the deepest human needs, even death. This challenges Christians to see in the poor the face of Christ and dismisses attempts to relativize or spiritualize away the biblical mandate for solidarity with the needy. Pope Leo, echoing Francis's critiques, denounces modern economic systems that create and perpetuate inequality. This economy kills. The document labels the unrestrained autonomy of the marketplace and financial speculation as drivers of a widening chasm between the prosperous elite and the suffering majority. Leo warns of a new tyranny, often invisible and virtual, that rationalizes policies where sacrifices are demanded of the masses, while the poor are promised only a few drops that trickle down. The exhortation situates these economic criticisms firmly within Christian teaching, linking them to the Church's doctrine of the universal destination of goods. Citing Gaudium et Spes, it affirms that those in extreme necessity are entitled to take what they need, even from the abundance of others. This is a provocative statement in consumer-driven, property rights-focused societies and invites debate about justice, fairness, and the role of the state in common welfare. A crucial theme is the inseparability of worship and social justice. Drawing on the words of Church Fathers like St. John Chrysostom and St. Lawrence, the exhortation insists worship is empty if it neglects the needs of the poor. Feed the hungry first and only afterward adorn the altar with what remains. This is a direct challenge to any understanding of faith that is disconnected from tangible acts of mercy and solidarity. Delixi also challenges the reduction of poverty to material privation alone. It recognizes spiritual and relational forms of poverty, warning against a purely materialist philosophy. The Church cannot fully align itself with Marxist frameworks focused solely on material redistribution. Rather, its concern is with holistic human flourishing, which includes spiritual belonging, meaning, and love. The document takes aim at the widespread indifference of affluent societies, describing a culture of indifference where the poor are invisible. It continually invites Christians to move beyond ideas and theories into frequent and practical acts of charity, echoing Francis's insistence that realities are more important than ideas. The worst discrimination the poor suffer, it says, is often the lack of spiritual care. Christians are called not just to provide material relief, but to enter into authentic relationships with the poor, encountering Christ in their suffering and presence. Pope Leo's message is not just a critique, but also an encouragement. The Church, he reminds, has always been a church of the poor, and its greatest saints, well known and unknown, have modelled a life of solidarity and practical care. The exhortation is positioned as a foundational text for teaching, reflection and action, accessible to those unfamiliar with Catholic social teaching and challenging even to the learned. Leo and Francis stress that wealth carries responsibility, but the obligation to charity and justice applies to all. Even if you have little, there's something you can do. Almsgiving is rehabilitated in a big way, underscoring that generosity and justice are necessary expressions of authentic faith. Delixi is a powerful indictment of systemic economic injustice, consumerism, and spiritual complacency in modern life. It invites a recentering of the Christian vocation on love, encounter, and justice for the poor. Its challenge is both personal and societal. Worship is inseparable from service, and authentic Christianity demands sacrificial love for the poor as the ultimate form of union with God.